I had a costume change and I was supposed to be back on stage within minutes. I didn't make it. And then it was interval and I realised I hadn't made it. And so I got back and I actually went into the wardrobe room and got in the cupboard and waited till the wardrobe mistress, Sylvia Horseman, came in, and I told her, and I was beside myself with shame.
Hey there, it's Connor Muller and welcome to Let's Chat Showbiz. This podcast is all about Australian showbiz. We're talking the glitz, the glam, the tough times and everything in between. Let's get this show on the road. Today's guest is a highly respected Australian actress who has entertained audiences for decades across both stage and screen. Many of you recognise her as the original Irene Roberts from Home and Away, but her career extends far beyond Summer Bay. We are excited to welcome Jacqy Phillips. Welcome, Jacqy.
Thank you, Connor.
Now, let's start with your stage career. You've been performing on stage for many, many years. What was the first time that you performed on stage?
When I was 6, in a pantomime that my grandfather had written called Robin of the Greenwood, which is a take on a Robin Hood story, and I played a rabbit and a flame.
Okay.
Yes.
And now, did you always know that you wanted to be in this industry from a young age?
Look, I always knew I loved performing.
Yeah.
Whether it was singing or acting, I loved it. And my mum was a housekeeper at the boarding school I was brought up in, right. And she belonged to the amateur theatre. You know, people's backstories, but she would have loved to have been a professional, and she was a wonderful actor, really wonderful. And her father was as well, so it's sort of in my genes.
Yeah.
But when I got to sort of age when I might think about that, she didn't encourage it at all.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And what happened was I came to Adelaide when I was 18 after I'd left school, and I did a lot of amateur stuff. I worked with Bruno Nez at La Mama Theatre, which I adored, in that little down here, you know, it had 30 seater. And we did midnight theatre, and it was fabulous. And I worked with him at the Arts Theatre, and then my first husband and I moved to Bordertown, and I wrote a melodrama called Harriet's Life to Ra, and I used the dentist, and I used the local minister for the Congregational Church, and I used several other people that everybody knew in the town, and we had crowds there.
Wow.
And then the drama group went from sort of being nothing, and I was 23 and I loved it, but I didn't tell them I'd written it until they liked it. You know?
Yep.
And then when I was about, and I can't remember, 23, 24, whatever, a couple of years later than that, I had 2 small kids, and my husband said, why don't you audition for NIDA or Flinders? And I did both. Didn't get into NIDA, and mainly I think because I had 2 small children, and I just said, I don't care about my children, I'll go to Sydney, don't worry about it. And so they weren't sort of keen to have me going back and forwards, I don't think. But I got into Flinders. Yep. And it was great because it was academic as well. It was a very wonderful time. I did French as well, learned a lot of French songs through that, and we did a lot of great plays. And then I was extremely lucky when I finished in 76 was my final year. Roger Chapman and Colin George came to the State Theatre, which was then called, whatever it was called. And Roger had started a new Magpie Company, and I was in the original Magpie Company. Very lucky, because it was the first time anybody had come to see Flinders students. They used to take people from NIDA, they used to take people from, you know, it was a bit snobby, I think, you know, for some reason. But Walt Cherry was the artistic director there of the, you know, the head drama honcho. And by the time I got there, he hated the students. And I know that because he got me to play Lysistrata, and the set for that was scaffolding, and I was on the top floor. I think he wanted me to fall off. I'm not sure.
But you didn't.
I didn't. No, I survived. I was determined to survive it. Even though it was awful, and I'm afraid of heights. But
Now, you've done a lot of work for the State Theatre Company of South Australia.
Yeah.
In 2024, you did Jack Mags, is that right?
Yes.
Tell me about the role that you played and what that experience was like.
I managed to break my arm in production week, so I had to do the whole thing through the, you know, and I had 3 characters. And people sort of didn't even realise I had a broken arm, but every character. So I'm not quite sure how they worked that out in their brain. Nobody explained before the show went that Jacqy's broken her arm, which is why she's 3 characters, and all of these characters have broken their arms. Probably their stories are different, but, you know, so I played I played a posh housekeeper, and I played a madam in a brothel, and I played, what was the other thing? Oh, yeah, I played somebody else who had a fine speech at the end. I can't remember what her name was. A lot of plays, a lot of scripts. You know, it's nearly 50 years now of being professional. But I've always loved it, always loved it. I just think people are born to perform.
Yeah. What do you most enjoy about performing?
How to quantify that, how to qualify that. You know, it's like, we also go to nursing homes, Cliff and I, my husband and I, and play there, because that era of music that I was brought up with is the music that a lot of people know. I love the response. I love the response, but there's something organic about acting and performing and singing. Both those things for me have been incredibly important over my career. And I loved, I used to love busking, because nobody has to pay to stop.
Yeah.
They only stop if they want to hear. And, I've always, and it started with a friend of mine here, Sue Ridgway, and then I did it on my own. And then I met Cliff, who's the best guitarist in the world, and we travelled around the world twice on round-the-world tickets.
Wow.
Busking, for 5 months or so in Europe, Mexico. We'd get gigs in India, go around, because that was the culture, because the Raj brought their culture to India. So there's a generation of people there who loved Que Sera Sera. And, it's like, I have had the most fantastic time as an actor.
Wow.
It's been wonderful. And as a singer. It's been great.
Now, you've obviously played many stages, roles on stages, I should say. What's been a highlight or a favourite role that you've just loved playing on stage?
I was thinking about that in the bus coming down.
Yeah.
I think my favourite was Vera Prentice-Simpson in Rodgers and Hart's musical Pal Joey.
Okay.
So I had to sing Bewitched, Bothered and Bewildered with the original lyrics.
Wow.
Because Lorenz Hart wrote these wonderful lyrics like, when he talks, he is speaking words to get off his chest. Horizontally speaking, he's at his very best. I'll cling to him, each spring to him, and worship the trousers that cling to him. It's fantastic,
Yeah.
But they cleaned it up for the, Frank Sinatra does a nice clean version of it. And
Yeah.
It's silly. America, they're silly.
Well, what's been the most funniest or embarrassing thing that's happened to you on stage that wasn't meant to happen? Has anything ever gone wrong for you?
Well, I do remember I was actually being the voice of a cockatoo on stage, somebody's hand puppet, and my job it was a Magpie production, I think. Can't remember, at the Dunstan Playhouse, and I had to lie on the floor in the wings and go whatever the noise was, and I wasn't scripted. I just had to be, a cockatoo. And then every time I'd come off, and I'd sort of wander back to the dressing room and say, man, I really, really fancy a cup of tea after that, after being a cockatoo. So I'd go wandering down, and in time I usually stop myself from going to get a cup of tea, but this particular time I didn't. And I had a costume change, and I was supposed to be back on stage within minutes. I didn't make it. And then it was interval, and I realised I hadn't made it. And so I got back, and I actually went into the wardrobe room and got in the cupboard and waited till the wardrobe mistress, Sylvia Horseman, came in, and I told her, and I was beside myself with shame. It was mortifying,
Yeah.
And I mean, the other things that happen, the things when you spontaneously laugh on stage and can't help it, and everybody does, and it's the most delicious thing, but terrifying,
Yeah, definitely. How do you find the theatre scene is now in South Australia? Or Australia as a whole, but South Australia.
I just feel really sad about it, actually. I mean, like I said, I was extraordinarily lucky. Came in at what I call halcyon days. Like, the money was great. There were 5 major professional companies in Adelaide. I worked with most of them. I had 10 years full-time. I mean, that's unheard of for actors, particularly now. And I just feel so sorry for the kids now, because they talk about 98% of people go to sport and 2% go to the theatre. Well, whatever, if I don't know the statistics, whether that's true or not, I certainly know that a lot of stuff that I've done and a lot of stuff that I've seen recently. The houses have been wonderful. The production's been fantastic. I mean, I saw that production that Heather Mitchell did recently. Just brilliant.
Unreal.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, unreal.
Unbelievable. Not just a wonderful character to portray, but how she did it.
Yeah, 100%.
The strength of that performance was just... And, you know, so it's a precious thing. And I just feel sorry for young people who are coming out. But my word, there's a lot of people who do independent stuff. You know, little companies that mushroom around everywhere. And it's great, that's healthy. But I wish them all the luck and the love in the world, because it's a wonderful... Theatre's marvellous. I mean, I've done a bit of television, I've done a few films, but I just love the process of rehearsal and getting that family, which then dissipates at the end of it all. But, you know, it's just been a really sort of superb experience while it's there, you know.
Yeah, and that was kind of about my next question was, do you prefer screen or stage? Do you have a preference?
I think I prefer stage. Well, I've had fun with some film. I've done a couple of horror films recently, you know, and no makeup, you know, that's the thing. So I look appallingly, apparently, horrendous. So, and I love character roles, you know, that's great. So sometimes it's great, sometimes not so great. That can be a hell of a lot of waiting around. You can get made up at 6 a.m. and not perform till 4.
Yeah.
And, you know, it can be boring, and you have to come up with an instant performance, and I, you know, pride myself on doing that. But it's, yeah, I mean, now that I'm nearly 80, I don't actually like the travel to and fro home, you know.
Of course.
That's a long trip, and the whole thing becomes quite a experience, especially when you break your arm, you know.
Yes.
And you have to be picked up and have fights with your daughter because she's sick of picking you up. And, oh, I tell you what, my life. Anyway.
Now, let's move on to some of your screen credits. I want to start with you talking to you about a film that you were in 1989. You played the role of Wendy in Candy Ragantag.
Whoa!
Do you remember much about that?
Warwick Moss.
Yeah.
I do. I was yet another brothel madam. That's been my, you know, what is it about me? I don't know. Do I look like I'd run a brothel? Do I look like I'd have a stable of girls?
I'm not sure. No, I don't
No,
think so.
you're not sure. You said thanks. Wow, Candy Ragantag. Yeah, well, I met this, and I think Warwick was the either director or he worked with me, and we're still in touch.
Oh, wow.
You know, he was a great friend, actually, and I did a couple of his plays and directed another of his plays when I was in Sydney. They were great days. And, yeah, Candy Ragantag. And I was very elegant. That's all I really remember, a nice costume and things.
Yeah, wow.
And it was, that was one of the first films I'd ever done.
Now, you were the first actress to play the role of Irene Roberts.
I was.
15 episodes on Home and Away. Then,
Was it 15? I thought it was only 12.
maybe it was 12, but I've got 15.
Okay.
Either
You
or.
probably know best. I don't know.
Now, that was in the early 1990s. Do you recall getting that role?
What I had to do, I was invited to go in to meet the director. His name I've forgotten right now. But he said, I think you're the only actress in Australia who'd be prepared to be as ugly as you have to be in this. But I didn't see it as an insult.
Yeah, okay.
I was very complimented.
Yeah.
And it was 2 minutes and I loved it. It was great fun. There was only me. People say, did you meet Heath Ledger? Did you meet Brian Brown? You know, no. I was in a room by myself and I had to smoke and die. And I, you know, there was 2 minutes and that's what I had to do. And I had to cough an awful lot. And then I think I'd fallen to the floor, but I reached up to get the last cigarette, to have the last puff, and then I died. Meanwhile, Heath Ledger was supposedly outside my door waiting to give me some money for drugs.
Right.
And it's a nice story. I like that story. 2 hands.
Now, the character of Irene was originally written as an aggressive, alcoholic, abusive mother. Do you recall that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
And it's not what audiences got to know Irene now.
No.
Do you have any understanding as to why that changed, or?
Not really.
Not really?
I loved doing that. It was fantastic. And they gave me carte blanche to change the script and to do weird things. Like I used to have my cigarette and I would try to get the longest possible ash without butting it. I'd get a lot of pleasure out of that.
Yeah, right.
And they gave me, and it was a shame I didn't do more. I'd like to have done more, but I had this wonderful play that was going to be 5 months and it was going to tour to Western Australia and all. A wonderful play by Jim Cartwright called Two Hands, which I did with a guy called Barry Quinn in Sydney. And it was going to tour all over and it was wonderful and I wanted to do it. And it was hopefully going to be organised that I come back.
Yeah.
But somehow, the legend is that somehow my agent's assistant stuffed things up, but he's dead. No one can verify that. So whatever happened, happened. And so the first time you see the new Irene, they made her up to look like me, very like me.
Yeah.
And then she became nice, so I can't explain it.
Yeah,
Perhaps
okay.
she's just a nicer person. Perhaps I was chosen because of my horrible look and my and the fact that I looked like I was a horrible, aggressive, abusive mother.
So you're not sure if you were asked back or you don't like, were you originally asked back to come back and play that role?
Yeah, they were talking about me coming back
Yeah.
and doing it again, but it didn't happen.
Oh,
And
okay.
as I say, it was apparently a step up the agency. So
Yeah,
what can I
right.
say? I don't know. It's a long, long, long time ago.
Yeah, yeah.
But I loved it.
Do you think you would have stayed 30 years? Like,
Nah,
Linda
man,
Granger?
I'd go
No?
crazy. Oh, I don't know how she did it.
A long time, a long time. Do you remember any of the other cast that you worked with?
Just that the little girl Finlay, she apparently was collected from a supermarket because she had a lovely face, you know. So there was not a lot of talent back then, as far as I know. They had, I think, look, I really did scenes with Finlay and the boy, lovely kids, both very, very blonde as I was, and the lady, forgive me for not remembering her name, but Pippa?
Deborah Lawrence.
Pippa Lawrence.
Deborah Lawrence.
Yeah, what was her actor's name?
Deborah Lawrence played
You're
Pippa.
very good, right. Yeah, well, great. I did scenes with them,
Yeah.
but not much else. But I did do my own stunt. I fell down stairs.
Oh, okay.
I did my own stunt. I was the first and only time I've ever done it. I loved it. It was great
right.
fun.
Yeah,
it was
right.
wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. It was just, and I did have at one point, they had me in a motel and I'd been there for days and I'd been drinking. Irene, not me, you know, get that, yeah. I'd been drinking and I was dressed in they had the nice costume, the nice makeup. And I said, this is silly. And they respected me. They let me get into a nasty looking dressing gown, as I remember, makeup, you know, looking really Jack.
Yeah, wow.
And it worked much better.
Yeah.
It was a true character. There are a lot of women who are stuck with kids, don't know what, they've got their own deep problems. They drink, they have, you know, and you know, it's wrong to dress them up and make them pretty.
Yeah, that's right.
Because their lives aren't like that.
What was audiences' reaction to the public? What did they think of Irene at the time?
Look, honest to God, after the first episode, people were stopping me in the street.
Really?
And I do remember one woman going past saying, "You're a bitch." You know, they believe it. What can I say? You know, they really think, moi, that I am like that. You know, that was extraordinary. That it's an amazing thing that television connection that people have. They want to believe, and so they do believe, and that person becomes a real person. They don't think actor.
They don't separate.
They believe.
Yeah.
Well, you know, which is it's fine on one level. It's great.
Oh, yeah. If you're doing the job right, then, aren't you?
Yeah.
Now, you, in 2011, you played Miss Cribbage in Red Dog.
Yes.
Do you remember filming those scenes?
Mrs. Cribbage.
Mrs.
She was
Cribbage,
married.
sorry, yes.
She was married to wonderful Paul Blackwell.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you remember filming those scenes?
Yeah, we didn't go anywhere exotic. We were outside of, on the way to Port Wakefield, or after, between Adelaide and Port Wakefield, I think there was a caravan park there, and we did it there. And we had a caravan, and we had the cat, and the dog. I dyed the cat, you know, to make it red.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a particular type of huge cat, Mancoon cat, that bred in America apparently.
Yeah, wow.
And they dyed it. They dyed it red So it became a red cat. So there was a red dog and a red cat. Actually, there were a lot of red dogs, apparently. There were about 12.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry, everybody, to break the illusion. And I do remember my favourite scene in that was when we had these nice sandwiches we were supposed to eat, and the cat was supposed to hear the dog bark outside and leap out the window. But the cat liked the smell of our sandwiches, so the cat was on the table around the sandwiches we were eating. And this person had to lean in through the window and grab the cat's back legs and pull it out because it wouldn't leave our sandwiches.
Oh, wow.
That was very funny, and that was one of those occasions when all you want to do is die laughing, and you can't. You can't. Of course. You're filming it.
Now, in 2013, you were in Wolf Creek too.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember filming those scenes as well and what that was like?
I do. There were two very large German tourists with backpacks that got into the back of my car, and I was a real farmer's, and that was an old banger I was driving, and I had no idea I was driving them to their fatal end, but I did it.
Yep. Yeah.
Horrible film. I tried watching it, actually.
Yeah.
I took a couple of friends to see it, and I think I left at the point where they were bouncing kangaroos off the truck.
Mm.
Wayne Jarrett.
Yeah.
John Jarrett.
John Jarrett.
Sorry, Wayne. Sorry.
Yeah. Wayne Jarrett. Did you ever meet Wayne Jarrett?
I did. Wayne Jarrett was when I was with Lighthouse, or when I was State Theatre Company back then.
Yeah, wow.
He was around then. He died quite young.
Very young, yeah. Very young.
How do you know all this?
He was in Prisoner.
Oh, was he? Okay.
And I was a massive Prisoner fan once upon a time. So yeah, he died very, very young.
I'd love to have done Prisoner. That would have been fun.
Yeah, well, a lot of Australian actors did.
Yeah.
And women, it was groundbreaking for its time.
Yeah,
That's for sure. Has there ever been a role that you've gone for that you haven't got that you've really wanted?
No.
No. Straight to the point. I like it. Now, what advice would you give to upcoming actors?
Don't despair. Just connect with people like yourself. If performing, and I really do believe this is true, that if you love performing, perform. Join, your local school that you went to and help out there. I don't know. I went through quite a period, I suppose, 6 years of being an amateur, and it was very grounding because you did everything. You had to. We used to build our own sets and things, and we had to do a set for Boeing once. And I remember it was in the days when they would bring down experts from Adelaide. So we created this set. My friend made this beautiful set, but it was just sort of round, and it had 8 doors because it was very much a farce, and there were a lot of doors being opened and closed. And the guy came down, the designer, professional, said the first time anyone opens a door, the whole set's going to fall down. So he taught us about abutting the sets against. You just learnt from the ground up, and that's what's lovely. And I think I really respected amateur theatre back in those days. The South East Drama Festival was wonderful, and I won a Best Actress award in it, which is the time when Peter, my first husband, said maybe you should try to do this professionally. Yeah. But my mother never encouraged it. She came to see me in one play, and that was Peer Gynt, the State Theatre Company. Oh, wow. And I played a really tragic character who was a bride, and she was left mourning. I can't remember the story, whatever it was about. And my mother thought I was funny.
So was she supportive in the end of that?
No, not really.
Not really.
Not really. And my stepfather, I'm sorry, it's getting quite a long story.
No,
but my stepfather, who was my first husband's father, married my mother. They got married 3 weeks before we did. They met through us.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Yes. And he loathed the fact that I went busking. He was appalled at the thought that I would be on the street playing music. But God, it was fun. Yeah. I loved it. And that don't ever disrespect. This is what I can say to people. Don't ever respect any chance to perform. Nursing homes, you go in and sing You Are My Sunshine, and some lady with dementia will suddenly talk for the first time in her life. Yeah. Or sing, first time she's been in there. Yeah. It's like, it's an extraordinary thing. Look people in the eye when you perform. Even though there's 600 people in the dark, look them in the eye in your mind and love performing for them. make sure they can hear you at the back and all of that. I've had to wear microphone. I had to wear microphone in Jack Max, and I did an interview with Geordie Brookman from Germany when he was there, because he's doing his PhD about technology in theatre, and I told him how much I really disliked having to wear. I mean, I've worked in the Playhouse for many, many, many years without a microphone.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And that's where you learn your craft. You have to perform for everybody, not just those people in the front row you might vaguely see, but the people up there as well. So they all deserve the same performance. And if you love performing, just do it in whatever way it can be.
What's something that you've done in your career that you're extremely proud of?
Busking on the corner of King's Cross.
Yeah.
And making $140 back in 1980, winning the busking award there, winning the busking award in King's Cross.
Yeah, right.
When I first met Cliff, my husband, and I've got photographs of this huge crowd, and I got to go on the Ray Martin show.
Oh, really?
But on the Ray Martin show, on the day that I went in, this is the story of my life, that I was in the dressing room and I was singing a song that I'd written. You know, nobody had ever heard it, but it was a great little song, I Like You. And I'd done a rehearsal of it. I was sitting in the makeup room having my makeup done, and somebody came in and said, "I'm really sorry, Jacqy, but there's a gentleman in the audience who's turned 100 today, and he's just saying the alphabet backwards, and it's taking a long time. So what we thought we might do," this is true, I wouldn't pull your leg, and they said, "We might have to bring you back in a couple of weeks." So did they do that? No.
Wow.
I didn't even get the chicken dinner I was supposed to get. Honest to God.
Yeah, wow.
You got to laugh at the disappointments, because there's going to be a few of them.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Now, tell me about Tin Can Alley.
Yeah. Cliff, I met Cliff in Sydney, and he can play anything, and I knew a million songs, old songs, a lot of songs in a lot of languages and stuff. So we had this instant musical connection, which then became a physical connection, and we got married, and then we travelled twice over 10 years. We went on a year trip around the world. You had to go, you know, around the world ticket with 3 different airlines. It was only $2,000. It was great.
Wow.
And we'd go and we'd buy a van in England. And the first time it was a little van, the second time a much, much bigger van. And we'd spend time going around Scotland, England, performing there. And then we'd go into usually get the ferry over to Amsterdam or Hook of Holland. And then we'd go into Europe and stay there for months on end, 6 months. Wow. And then we'd... there was the last time we did it, the first time we went to New York, and we couldn't stop for some reason. We couldn't stop in Germany that time. So the second time we were supposed to stop at them. Anyway, we landed in New York at 8 o'clock at night, and the next day we got up on the Sunday morning. We went there and performed and made enough in an hour to pay for our room. You know, it was great.
Oh, wow.
$60, and it's all paper money.
Yeah.
And then while we were playing, there was this big lady. She'd been watching us across the road, and there were also these 2 kids, and they were sort of doing this rap dancing stuff. And they came over and they were busking. They were rapping right in front of our case. And she came over, grabbed the case, shut the case, gave it to us, and said, "Get out," because those kids were going to take the case.
Yeah,
you know?
wow.
And then we flew to Mexico, but we went via Chicago because we couldn't fly direct from New York because we're too many, but whatever. And we were at Chicago airport, and they said, if you can, this was about 10 in the morning, the flight was due at 10:30 or something. If you are prepared to give up your ticket, we can get you to Mexico City later, and we'll give you $200 each. So we went, yes. Thank you.
Right.
So then we got into Mexico City with $400 extra. At the end of a year, this was like magic. Then we had 7 weeks in Mexico. Wow. And most of it we spent in Guadalajara. Played on the streets, played in the playas, met a guy called Acapulco Joe who used to pick up prostitutes because he felt sorry for them. Wow. And he drove us through the bandit country where if you saw a tree across the road, you immediately turned around and went back the other way because somebody's going to rob you. And it was fabulous. What a fabulous time we had.
Were you ever scared?
Nah.
Never?
Not really, no. I can't remember. And, you know, it's like, it's something about, and the same with busking and the cross. There are a lot of tough people around there, you know, but they just loved it. It's the nature of the way you perform. It's the songs you do, the fact it touches people if you sing a song that they remember. And, you know, it's just always been my favourite thing to do. So you asked me what my proudest thing was. It was allowing myself to become a busking champion.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, right.
Because I would champion that for anybody.
Yeah.
But nowadays it's all about getting you've got to have a thing for your card, and, you know, the days like those days. We once got given £5 to go away from outside a hotel because they were having a conference in there.
Oh,
we were busking outside. So that was all right. That was fun. That was in Scotland.
Yeah, right. Wow.
No, it's been brilliant. I've loved it.
Yeah, yeah. And are you still performing now?
We performed we did a fringe show with a mob called Heaven Knows about the Chelsea Hotel, because all the wonderful people that have come through there, you know, so got to sing songs like from Joni Mitchell and Dylan, all those people that you can imagine. That was great. So we did a show with them for a lady who's 22 years after getting cancer has recovered, so she was having a celebratory thing, and she asked us to come in to perform, which we did, and what else? We playing tomorrow for a nursing home in Oaklands Park.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And we've got a session at the Three Brothers Arms in Macclesfield, which is the most wonderful pub in the entire world, with just the warmest atmosphere you can ever want, particularly for musicians. It's just great.
Do they still have the umbrella?
The umbrella came down. We saw a great band there yesterday, actually.
Oh, wow.
They were great. The umbrella comes down, and because they didn't charge at the door, which was lovely of them. So, you know, I hope somebody had put in 50, which was great.
Yeah, wow.
I put in 2 lots of 5.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I'm just a working actor on a pension now. You know?
Well, that's right, yeah. Now, at the end of each episode, I ask a question to ask the next guest. Now, our last guest was Ben Hall, and his question was...
What is one trap in the industry that you've seen or would advise others to avoid?
There was a trap door that came up. I remember that. I remember being on stage with that and being terrified I was going to fall into it. But that was in the old days, the days when they had a prompt on the stage.
Right.
And they had a little hood over them so the audience couldn't see them. They just saw this lump. I don't know if they sort of thought, what is that lump in the middle of the stage? But that was where the prompt was. Yeah. So that sounds like a facetious response, because I can't trap. The trap is, I guess the trap is not to let yourself believe that you're not good enough if you don't get an audition. Because, you know, that's happened to me a few times.
Yeah.
And it can be humiliating, or you just, you know, it's just what it is.
It's part of the job, isn't it?
It's part of the job, and just don't shoot yourself in the foot for it. You know, it's like it's not worth it.
Yeah.
There's plenty of other people who are going to love you for something.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Now, my final question for you then is a question to ask the next guest. We don't know who the next guest is. It could be a question about absolutely anything. A question to ask the next guest.
What do you think is the solution to the world now?
That's a good question. And for you, what is the solution to a good world now, do you think? Music.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, wow.
That's where you can forget about it.
Yeah. And it's like saying when you go to a theatre show or you go to a concert or something, you all come together and you forget what's out there and you're all watching the same thing. Yeah. Yeah. Very special. Yeah.
And it's so divisive now. I mean, we watched a show about AI last night called Capture on the ABC, and it's frightening. They implanted some sort of microphone thing into this guy and were giving him instructions. So he murders someone, and, you know, it was not what he would ever do, but his mind has been taken over by this device. And that is a possibility, you know. It's a very, very... I now have a great-grandson, and I'm going to see him on Wednesday, and I have grandchildren, and I'm frightened for them, and I don't particularly want to be alive in the next 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
But I wish you luck because you're part of that.
Thank you. And do you think, as an actor, it's worrying as well because your jobs can be taken on screen, on stage, things like that?
Yeah, I know. I've never thought deeply about it, but that, yeah, obviously, and people are fighting that. I mean, people are fighting the Trump syndrome over in America for changing the names of theatres, and you know, it's like it's just this awful world which could potentially take us all over, and I really basically feel that protect yourself by being with people you respect and love, and play music and go to theatre and watch something you love, read something you love. Don't let the world impinge on your soul. It may impinge on your brain, but it doesn't have to impinge on your soul.
Yes. Well, that brings us to the end of our chat, Jacqy. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. It was great fun.
I'm glad. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in. If you want more episodes of Let's Chat Showbiz, you can follow along on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Instagram, TikTok, and even Facebook for all you oldies. See you next time on Let's Chat Showbiz.